All right, welcome everyone. Let's dive right into this explainer on what I like to call the epic, ongoing evolutionary arms race between us, humans, and pathogens. Today, we're tracking how the microscopic world literally shapes our global future. So whether you're studying health, science, or even economics, understanding how human survival intersects with infectious diseases is absolutely foundational. We're going to break down how infections actually start, how our bodies fight back, and well, what happens when those vital defense systems fail.
So, we've got to start with this massive, absolutely crucial question. How do you actually prepare against a pandemic? We ask this because, as history has shown us time and time again, nothing delivers quite as much potential for sheer devastation as natural biology. We spend so much time worrying about technological or geopolitical threats, but honestly, it's microscopic organisms that have repeatedly reshaped human civilization.
Just look at this timeline. Infectious diseases aren't just dusty historical events. They are an ever-present threat to our survival that demands constant vigilance. Back in the 14th century, a single tiny bacterium caused the Black Death, which wiped out literally half of Europe's population. Half! Jump ahead to 1918, and the Spanish flu virus took tens of millions of lives. And of course, we all remember 2019, when COVID-19 triggered a completely unprecedented global economic and health crisis. These milestones show us just how profoundly epidemics and pandemics impact our societies.
Okay, here's our syllabus for today. First, we'll look at the origins of infectious diseases. Then, evolution and zoonotic spillover. Number 3 is immunity and medical defenses. Fourth, we'll tackle the threat of drug resistance. 5 is climate, biodiversity, and globalization. And finally, One Health and future solutions. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Origins of infectious diseases.
Before we go any further, we need to clearly define what we're actually up against here. Infectious diseases are basically illnesses caused by harmful pathogenic organisms. In our classification, we're mainly talking about 4 heavy hitters: bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Through different modes of transmission, like the air we breathe, the water we drink, or just direct physical contact, these invaders manage to enter our bodies, breach our physiological limits, and multiply. That's what causes the disease.
Now, getting to see an actual pathogen up close is pretty wild. Check out this scanning electron micrograph of Bacillus anthracis. That's the bacteria responsible for anthrax. Seeing it like this really helps us visualize the incredibly tiny scale of these formidable enemies. These organisms often just live quietly in the dirt, but under the right conditions, they can be incredibly lethal to humans. It's a sobering reminder of the invisible, microscopic world we interact with every single day.
Moving right along to Section 2, Evolution and Zoonotic Spillover.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial concept to grasp here is zoonosis. What is that? Well, a zoonotic disease is simply an infection that transmits between animals and humans. But for a virus to actually cross that species barrier, say making the jump from a bat or a bird directly into a human, it requires some serious genetic adaptation. The pathogen basically has to evolve new traits, almost like picking new biological locks, to survive and thrive inside our unique human biology. To put the sheer scale of this evolutionary threat into perspective for you, check out this number. A staggering 75% of all new human pathogens detected in the last 3 decades have originated in animals. Wow, right? That means 3 out of every 4 brand new diseases we face are zoonotic spillovers. And this is happening more and more frequently because human activities are constantly pushing us into closer, tighter contact with wildlife.
All right, on to Section 3, Immunity and Medical Defenses.
So let's scale up to the human level. Our immune system is frankly an incredible defense network. It's great at recognizing and fighting infections, but it definitely has its limits, especially when faced with completely novel, newly mutated viruses it's never seen before. That, my friends, is where immunization comes in to save the day. Vaccines are arguably one of human history's greatest engineering feats. They work by safely introducing a tiny, harmless piece of the pathogen to our immune system. This essentially trains your body to recognize and fight the invader, completely skipping the part where you actually have to get dangerously sick first. It's a brilliant biological cheat code.
But here's the catch. Traditional vaccine manufacturing can be frustratingly slow. To stay ahead of these rapidly emerging threats, scientists are developing brand new strategies for mass production. Modern preparedness means we have to move fast. Step 1, we rapidly acquire and sequence the virus's genetics. Step 2, We move away from those older, slower methods, like growing viruses in chicken eggs, and instead use blazing fast cell culture methods to design the vaccines. And finally, step 3, we safely accelerate regulatory testing so we can actually deploy these countermeasures before a localized outbreak spirals into a full-blown pandemic.
Which brings us to Section 4, the threat of drug resistance.
Now, medical science faces a massive hurdle here, and it's honestly a little terrifying. I'm talking about antibiotic resistance. This is literally a textbook example of survival of the fittest happening right in front of our eyes. When we take antibiotics, the drugs do their job and kill off the weak strains of bacteria. But if just a few bacteria happen to possess a random genetic mutation that lets them survive that drug, they're the only ones left standing. With all their competition wiped out, those surviving, super tough microbes multiply and take over. So basically, by overusing these drugs, we are inadvertently applying the exact evolutionary pressure needed to make our own medicines completely useless.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, Climate, Biodiversity, and Globalization.
At the macro level, human activities are fundamentally rewiring the planet. Things like massive agricultural expansion, rapid urbanization, and deforestation are totally destroying the natural physical buffers that used to sit between us and wild animals. This habitat fragmentation basically forces animals and humans to cram into shared spaces. And when you combine that increased contact with our dense global trade and massive air travel networks, well, we've essentially built high-speed highways that allow a localized animal spillover to become a global human crisis in a matter of days.
Climate change is another huge driver in this equation. Let's think about vector-borne diseases for a second. Those are illnesses spread by mosquitoes and ticks. When we compare normal, stable climates to areas hit by extreme weather patterns, like the El Niño Southern Oscillation, the differences are just stark. Think about it. In super dry areas, sudden, intense rainfall creates brand new puddles. In wet areas, severe droughts create stagnant pools of water in receding rivers. What do both of those scenarios have in common? They rapidly expand the perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes, pushing diseases like malaria and dengue fever into entirely new geographical regions where they've never been a problem before.
And we absolutely can't ignore the financial fallout. The global impact of these diseases isn't just measured in sick days and hospital beds, it's measured in sheer economic survival. Look at this number. The COVID-19 pandemic alone is projected to cost the global economy at least $12.5 trillion. Trillion with a T. That staggering figure proves unequivocally that global health security is national and economic security. Failing to invest in disease prevention literally creates massive worldwide geopolitical and economic instability.
Finally, let's look at some hope in Section 6, One Health and Future Solutions.
The answer to this giant puzzle lies in breaking down our scientific silos. We absolutely cannot treat human health in a vacuum anymore. Enter the One Health approach. This is going to be our most critical framework moving forward. It's a holistic, big-picture strategy that recognizes one very simple, undeniable truth. Human survival is inextricably linked to the health of the animals we live with and the ecosystems we rely on. Put simply, if the environment is sick, we're going to be sick.
To actually achieve global health security, we need robust investments into a really straightforward 3-step framework. First up, prevent. We have to stop the spillover at the source by protecting wild habitats. Second, detect. We need to build global health early warning systems so we can spot outbreaks the minute they happen. And third, respond. We have to ensure our medical supply chains, our vaccine production, and our hospitals are resilient enough to handle a sudden emergency.
As this quote brilliantly illustrates, One Health is a powerful, integrative approach that aims to balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. That is our ultimate goal right there. Safeguarding our future requires profound interdisciplinary collaboration. We're talking about doctors, ecologists, climatologists, and engineers all sitting at the same table, working together to maintain this incredibly delicate planetary balance.
All right, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to lock in these core concepts. At the micro level, remember that pathogens are constantly evolving to survive and beat our defenses. At the human level, our immune limits are very real, which means we have to continuously innovate our vaccines and antibiotics. And at the macro level, human expansion and climate change are basically hitting the fast-forward button on viral spread. Ultimately, adopting that One Health approach isn't just a nice idea. It is absolutely critical for our long-term survival.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Knowing what you know now about the origins of these diseases, the sheer mechanics of evolution, and the massive impact of human expansion, what innovative engineering or policy solutions would you design to prevent the next zoonotic spillover? Seriously, think about it.
I encourage you to discuss these concepts, maybe even quiz yourself on the key terms we covered today. How will you step up and contribute to global health initiatives to protect our shared future? Keep learning, keep questioning everything, and I'll see you in the next explainer.